Hello and welcome to part 2 of the link methods in C#. Today I'll go over first, last, first or default, last or default, element at, and element at or default. Here's a list. 3 elements, 25, 5, and 100. Now you can access elements in a list with the same way you would an array. So you can do a 0 and it'll be the 0 index. Easy enough. But link has a method specifically for it, first. It'll also do 25. So it does, so you can do first. Now that you know what first does, you could probably take a good guess on what last is going to do. Again, you could do, in fact, I'll even show you the more barbaric way. Let's do it the barbaric way first. MyList, and then MyList.count -1. And both of those will display 100. And there we go, both display 100. But this one is a lot easier to read, the last. So last element. Easy enough. Let's see, first or default. Let's do that one. So let's run first or default. It will do the first element, or if it doesn't exist, it'll display a 0. So it'll do 25. But what happens if I get rid of these elements? Well, I already spoiled it. It'll do 0. So I run it, and 0. Now you can probably guess what last or default does. I mean, it'll display, obviously it'll display 0. But if I added elements, let's say 1, 2, and 3, and then run it, and then that'd be 3. So it does the last element, or if there's not any, then it'll do 0. Let's do element at. Actually, let's do element at the regular one first, but I'll type it out. Let's see, console. So MyList.element at, let's do element at 1. And let's get some better numbers here. Let's see, 15, -29, and 34. Sure, why not? So what element at does is it accesses what's at the first, in this case, the first 1. So remember, arrays go by index of 0, so do lists. So 0, 1, so it should display -29. -29, perfect. So what happens if we go out of bounds, and you can, what will happen here is there'll be an error, right? So there is no, yeah, exactly, you get an error. So I'll hide this. Element or default does exactly what the other ones do. It'll either give you the element at the position, like element at, or it'll display a 0 if there is no element at that place, exactly. So, there you have it. First, last, first or default, last or default, element at, and element at or default. Pretty straightforward.